So I wanted to do a video on this, on Cynthia G situation with woman sphere. I think honestly, after watching Woman Sphere, some of the things she said explain some things that I had questions about for a year now. Is it a year? No, it's not quite a year actually yet. It's 10 days short of a year. But, she did kind of explain some things that were like, oh, that really does make sense now. But, some things that she said really, didn't make me feel more negatively towards Cynthia G. If anything, it kind of helped in some regards, okay? So, some things about Cynthia G that are interesting to me are, one, the whole thing about the abortion. I thought she had an abortion. A lot of people were saying that she had an abortion with the whole Robert Perkins situation. Come to find out she has a daughter, And it's good to find that out because, a lot of the time I thought, many of her talking points had to do with from a perspective of someone who had an abortion. Now it makes more sense that she's just saying that she regrets, I guess, keeping her child. I don't really know what's going on there. Not really, because she's saying if you're pregnant with a child that's a black male. I guess she's just trying to compartmentalize what she's done, I think, by having a daughter with a black man. She's trying to compartmentalize it as being better than having a child that's a black male child. It's a son, But, other than that, I mean, that's a matter of a different perspective than what I thought. So it kind of cleared things up finding that out. Also, the whole thing about sex work and them trying to say that she's a sex worker. I mean, having photos online of being flatly dressed, for one, they're not nudes. And even if they were nudes, that wouldn't mean you were a prostitute. And I mean, there are different types of sex workers, so I mean, some are illegal, some are legal, and, But my point is, it's just kind of I don't really get why, just because she's dressed flatly, that means that she was a prostitute. That doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, people have nudes, for real. And that doesn't mean that they were prostituting or that they had sex for money. Having sex for money is having sex for money, not being online and someone seeing you flatly dressed, seeing you nude, or any of that. It's kind of just weird to me to think that. It goes with the whole idea. I've seen some men who act like this, like they think they had sex with a woman because they saw her nude in some photos. Maybe she even sent a video of herself. You would think they had sex with the woman, but they've never even touched the woman in real life. So do you mean to tell me you have sex with every woman you watch porn with? I mean, I watch porn all the time involving men, usually two men, or maybe multiple men, but me. I do not think I'm having sex with those men, So to me, it's just weird. And of course, I mean, porn, I mean, you could say that's a type of prostitution, I guess. It's legalized, I guess, because they are having sex for money. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you're seeing someone nude on a photo or on a video, does that mean that they are a prostitute? That's just weird to me. I don't see that. But I mean, one thing that was really important outside of the sex work, because I mean, I don't even judge people who sex work. Really, to me, when people are prostitutes, that's something that's because it's breaking the law, and it's well, you're having sex with people for money, which means you risk diseases, you risk getting pregnant. Wow. Selling yourself for sex? I mean, that's not too good. I mean, it's so much risk. I mean, like, a photo is just a photo. You don't get pregnant from a photo, you don't get diseases from a photo. It's just a photo. Even a video, for that matter, it's just a video. It's not, nobody's having sex, nobody's having diseases, there's no risk, there's no pregnancy risk. It's very different than prostitution. So to me, I mean, like, just because she was a little scantily dressed, I don't think that means she was a prostitute, and I don't think it means she's a sex worker either. Even like if they were trying to say cam girl, I would think, wouldn't you have to see some nude photos for that or something? Even nude photos wouldn't mean that. I mean, like, if you saw her maybe on a video, like simulating sex or whatever, I guess you could say something like that would seem more like a cam girl, but I wouldn't even think nude photos would mean that, because you could be sending nude photos to some guy or something. That doesn't make you a cam girl. You could just be having cyber sex kind of situation. So to me, I just think, I don't really see how that means that she's a prostitute. Now, on the whole thing on her platform, that is something that I thought was really important and interesting, because it was like, I was wondering why she talks about divested topics. Like, why does she talk about divested topics? But she's still, like, with black men. Always, okay? Some people will be like, woman's fear is with black men. Yes, she's a rainbow swirler, though. It's different. Rainbow swirlers will talk about divested issues in some regard, because they interracially date. So they will talk about interracially dating and things of that nature. They may have a different mindset than a divested woman, but they still talk about stuff in the category of, at least interracial dating and things of that nature. They may have a similar things that they have to talk about because they're a rainbow swirler. Cynthia G isn't a rainbow swirler, though. She doesn't date white men, and she only dates black men. She's openly, honestly said this, and it's good that she's been honest about this, but, she's constantly said this. And I've always felt like, why are you talking about these issues if you are with black men? And to me, it seemed like, well, she's just using divestment as a cash cow, basically, and to get money, and so that's one thing I do agree with woman's fear on, because yes, I do think that she is basically talking about these topics just for a monetary gain. And the reason why I think this is because when you see her content about divestors and how she would go after divestors, very different than some other women. Okay, so say like rainbow swirlers will go after divestors. Like, Women's Sphere has gone after divestors. And in those situations, I feel like Cynthia G goes about it like in a way where she's trying to convince you to be with black men. Well, I feel like Woman's Sphere kind of just is talking about her downside or her bad luck, really. Kind of situation, or how to avoid this or that, kind of situation. She is into black men too, but I mean, like, it just seems different to me. And to me, it's just like with Cynthia G, it kind of like, it has always been odd to me. Like, I've never been able to understand why some divested channels were okay with her talking about divested issues, knowing full well she's gone after divested black women really hard, like in a really malicious way, basically, because she is pro-black love. So to me, it's just kind of like, why would you take what someone's saying seriously if they are trying to change how they are messaging divestors. I feel like she may have tried to use woman's fear to try to get a perspective out of spoilers to appeal to divestors, basically. She understood she couldn't take the ideology of a divester, and she got the idea that she probably wouldn't be able to align with a divester that well, so she took someone who was more on the side of rainbow swirling, on the edge of rainbow swirling, with more of a preference towards black men, because she felt like she could relate more to that person. She could more so take some of the things that they have to say and make it for her own, and to attract divestors to her channel. So to me, I do agree with that part. I do think that Cynthia G is definitely trying to use divestors and their talking points, basically, and she may have used woman's fear in that regard. I don't think that she copies woman's fear completely, though, like that. Like Nyla copies Cynthia G. You can see, like, when I first got on Nyla's channel, I was like, oh my god, this sounds like Cynthia G with a different voice. I don't see that with Cynthia G. To me, with Cynthia G, she kind of like does her own thing, but she tries to incorporate ideology of some swirlers to try to make her platform more palatable to a divester so then they can still support her channel, basically. So I do agree with what Woman Sphere was saying there. Also, another part of this was something that Cynthia G says about how she got monetary gain from white men in the past. I always thought, what did she mean by that? Is she saying that she did like some kind of. I think that part could make sense, that she has some kind of interaction that might seem like sex work to some. I kind of perceived it as kind of like a sugar baby kind of relationship thing going on. But that doesn't specifically mean that it has to be sexual always. Sometimes it can also be companionship from what I hear. But it could be that she finessed money out of them. It's too many different aspects to it that I don't know the actual situation that happened, so I can't really make any assumptions. But I can say that I could see how that would seem like maybe she worked in sex work, of some sort. Does that mean she worked as a prostitute, though? I don't really think so. I mean, I don't think, are sugar babies prostitutes? No, I don't think they are. So I wouldn't say that would mean she was a prostitute either. I mean, I think a prostitute is a prostitute. A prostitute, I will say, escorts, in my opinion, are prostitutes too. But, that's what a prostitute is. A sugar baby isn't quite a prostitute. Gold diggers aren't actually prostitutes. They are uh, just not quite the same thing, basically, from what I understand it to be. It's more your time than actually guaranteed sex. Sex is just kind of like a choice that person chooses to do, but it's more so their time that they're being paid for than anything. Kind of like a girlfriend that you wine and dine financially and all that stuff to win over kind of situation. But I don't think that that's a prostitute. So I mean, I still wouldn't say that would argue that she's a prostitute from my perspective of it. But I do think the most important thing about this whole situation is not what Cynthia G does, or if she's a mother, or if she is working in sex work. To me, that's not very important when it comes to content. I've said this before. I care what the person has to say, and if someone can address what they're saying and come across it and talk about how it's wrong, I will focus more on that. And that's a major issue that I've always had with Cynthia G was the fact that Cynthia G's content I just don't like. I don't appreciate the obsession with black men. I don't like the obsession with their preferences. I don't really care about um, those issues because she has an interest in black men and I don't have the interest in black men. Then on top of it, the way she has an idea of superiority when it comes to colorism and stuff. I don't like that either. Um so I mean, like, there's a lot of different things I don't like about her content. It's not really who she is as a person. I don't really care who she is as a person. This is something that I talked about with Milu Divine, too. I remember when people were coming for her and they were trying to talk about her personal life. And that wasn't really what was going to get me because it was kind of like I said, I don't care what someone does in their personal life. What I care about is the message. When another person basically came across and talked about her message and attacked the message, that was what to me was more concerning and what stuck more than talking about what someone does in their private life. So to me, that's how I see it with Cynthia G too. I just don't really care what her personal life is like, but I do not agree with what she seems to have done with divestment and how she's taken the message of other people to try to have an appeal to divestment. I think divestors who subscribe to her channel are just being used, and they need to be a little bit smarter and actually realize if she's not going to even open her options, then why would you listen to someone telling you to do that? Why would you listen to someone who is trying to take those type of talking points, but at the same time, they won't even take their own advice? Especially when this person has a history of attacking those exact talking points and that exact lifestyle. It's not that they have a change of heart towards that lifestyle. They're just thinking if they say these things, you will give them money, you will give them views, you will give them subscribers, you will give them a bigger channel, basically. They just want financial gain out of you. It's not really what they feel, it's not really what they believe. They don't even believe it themselves. They believe quite the opposite. But they just want to appeal to you for your attention and your monetary gain. So that's what I think out of that situation. I think divestors need to recognize that. And I think a lot of divestors do realize that. That's who she is. But I think altogether people should really stop supporting her because I mean, like, if she's gonna try to use black women, even if she is, she's always admitted she's not divested. But even if she's trying to take certain things to appeal to people, understand you're being used. And I mean, I never liked that from her either because it just to me seemed like, oh, you're trying to trick me. And it's like, I already saw you like 2 years ago how you attacked black women. So, that's just how I see it. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye.